All right. So we're going to start off with a little introduction to minerals. Um, so, what is a mineral? So, minerals are what rocks are made up of. So, we just got done with our rock unit, and you had an example like this, red granite. And then you would sit there. If you looked really close, you could see that there was different types of material, different types of crystals in there. And those are the minerals. So all together, those minerals are what is called a rock. So if we looked underneath that, like here's again another sample of red granite, a little nicer because it's more red. It is our state rock. Uh, so what geologists will do will slice that real thin and put it underneath a polarizing microscope, look at it, and identify each one of these minerals in here and then say, "Oh, yep, it's a piece of red granite." Here's it's, and they can even do like a percentage. I can say this much feldspar, this much quartz. So minerals are what rocks are made up of. It's kind of like having a cookie, if you kind of think of it like that, like in saying, "Okay, we have all the different ingredients are separate. Those are the minerals. So the chocolate chip and the sugar and all this stuff are the minerals. Then when you mix it all together, you get a cookie, that's like the rock. All right. So if I would have taken those and separated all those minerals out, those are the minerals. Now, but if I put them all back together in one big rock, then it's a rock. So I just want to let you know a little bit about what got me excited about geology, and that's why I studied it in college. I got my degree in geology from UWM, and I got this book in fourth grade, and had a rock and mineral, and it had little stickers, and you had to find it, and then I kind of got intrigued about what they look like because they were kind of bad, graphics at that time, and they had more drawings than photos. And you'd find this little sticker on, page 42, put it in there, and then read about smoky quartz and rose quartz. I thought these were the coolest looking things. I was like, look at those shapes in there. Um, then when I got to see an actual sample of it, I was like, whoa, even better. And here's another piece of rose quartz. And then I thought, wait a second, if they're both quartz, why is this one pink? And why is this one kind of clear on the bottom, then tan, and then kind of dark brown on top? Hmm. It made me keep thinking about that. And I was just, wanted to know more. I was, so then another thing that got me is like one of my neighbors came back from a trip and he crossed the street and I was again only in fourth grade and he I thought it was funny and he brings this yellow rock out from the bathroom on top right by their toilet. The mom put this huge piece of sulfur as a yellow mineral and he goes, "You want to see?" I go, "Oh my god, it's so pretty." And he goes, "Yeah." "You want to know why it's in our bathroom? Smell it." And I did, and I was like, "Woo, man, does that stink?" It's and he goes, "Yeah, it smells like rotten eggs, doesn't it?" I was like, "Yeah, it kind of does." And then later on, I read that actually that's in eggs, and that's why we get the smell. So it doesn't smell like rotten eggs. Rotten eggs smell like sulfur. And I was just like, that is the coolest thing. And he brought it back on a trip from at that time you could take samples from Yellowstone. So now you can, it's against the law. Probably wasn't too cool back then either, or they bought it at a gift shop, one of the two. But then when I went out there, I was like, yeah, that it made me think about that mineral, that yellow mineral in Yellowstone. And if you've ever been out there, you know that smell. And then my dad gave me a piece of gold, he told me. And he's like, "Yeah, you want to look at it? You want a big piece of gold?" And I thought, "Oh my God, it's so cool." And he goes, "Fooled you. It's not gold. It's fool's gold." And I'm like, "Fool's gold? What? It looks just like gold." And then he told me it's harder and it's actually an iron ore, and he goes, called fool's gold, but his real name is pyrite because if you smack it with like some steel, it can create a spark like fire. Pyre means fire. And I was like, "Oh my god," and I was looking at all these little like different shapes, and they come in like dodecahedrons, and they call it cubes, and I was like, "That's just cool." And then I got a sample and put some of these real fine needle like minerals in there. I was like, "That is so pretty," and thought, "This almost like art. This is nature's art." And then I got it. Then I found out that if you some minerals glow when you put UV light on them. So this is what they look like normally. And you put UV light, and I was like, "That's so cool." And look how pretty they are. And it's just another way to identify certain minerals. And the more and more I kept reading, I was like, "This is nature is just so cool and so fascinating." Like this mine here, looks like a regular mine, but when you go down into it, they were mining silver, went through it, and they struck into a room, opened up these crystals. I mean, that you can actually walk. I mean, but it's so hot down there, they have to wear special suits that cool down the air before it gets to their lungs, so because they can only stay in there for a short amount of time. Now, when you get into geology, you get a regular degree in geology, and then that's kind of covers everything. Geology is the study of Earth, so it's like, whoa, that's big. So then they start breaking it down where you at the end where you want to specialize in. So you might want to study just rocks. That's petrology. That's Latin and Greek for rock. So, and they study the rocks and the conditions they form into, and like are they igneous, metamorphic, or sedimentary, which you just got done with. And and maybe you want to even like this would be like if you're a volcanologist, you could study rocks that are done by volcanoes, which would be um, extrusive igneous. Now, if you like minerals, like I liked minerals, I was like just fascinated by minerals, especially big samples of minerals, you know, then um, you would be a mineralogist. So then you look at that and identify each one of those, and look for big samples of it. And usually, mineralogists are hired by companies that are looking for something minerals that they can sell, like aluminum, which is bauxite, copper ore, iron ore, gold, silver. So even gem deposits they'll find for you. Now, this is a branch of mineralogy. And it can even go down into gemology, which is a branch of mineralogy. They'll just focus more on the gem part of it, like looking for diamonds, looking for emeralds. And so they can put it in the jewelry and sell. Um, in addition to that, you can go into ancient life, which is paleontology too, which is a part of geology too. That when you would kind of get to know you got to know your rocks, where to look, and also in addition to that, you will have to have some biology to know animal anatomy. All right, so let's just say what geologists define a mineral as. Mineral is a naturally occurring inorganic solid with a definite chemical composition and an ordered atomic arrangement. Whoa, that's kind of hard. I broke it down simpler for you. Minerals are naturally occurring, means they're not made by humans. Now, you can make them in the laboratory now, but those are called lab created. These are made by nature. Minerals are inorganic. That means they've never been alive. Minerals are solid. They're not liquids or gases. Okay. One little exception is mercury. It kind of forms is a liquid form. And even though it's a mineraloid, because it doesn't fit this or this next one, but it is grandfathered in because they always called it a mineral, even since the 50s. So they just kept it as that. But it's not technically a mineral because it's not a solid. At room temperature, it can be more of a liquid. That's like some in your old thermometers. Minerals have a different chemical composition. They're just made up of different elements. So this periodic table of elements is something that you're definitely going to want to know if you want to become a geologist. For instance, bismuth is Bi for bismuth. It's all one. Oh, here's my fool's gold again. Now, the pyrite is made up of iron and sulfur. It has one iron and then two sulfur attached to it. So that to get the iron out, we just heat it up, get rid of that sulfur, separate it, and take the iron. And we can make this, lots of things out of iron. And they have an ordered atomic arrangement. It just means that they have crystals in that form in a certain way. And this is where your math, your especially your will pay off your geometry, which is study of shapes, because you definitely can see these different shapes that apply. Even on this one, like with the cube. So all they usually have a way that they form crystals. Even if you can't see the crystals, if you enlarge them underneath a microscope, you can definitely start seeing them. Now, another thing that geologists do, and this is something that you're going to do it on your 12 minerals. Again, if you're just watching this because you're virtual, you're not going to be doing your 12 minerals. But in class, you would have 12 minerals and take detailed notes on each. And if you look, we always take detailed notes because we might have to we might be, a geologist will just work as a big team. So it might be that we're doing field work out here and then we have to send it into the lab and then they have to read your notes and put it in the computer and do more testing. Then they might have to go into the business sector and sit there and say, oh, can we sell this? So we have all these different people working together as one team, and detailed notes are a must. Now, so we're going to practice again. If you were in class, we practice on 12 different samples. Some were extras that we even practiced on. And the very first thing we did was describe it. So we just traced it, colored it in, measured it, described the color, weighed it. We can even do if it goes underneath a UV light. And then we felt, what does it feel like? If it's rough, smooth, and we smelled it. And that smell would be with a little bit of water because the water really brings out the smell of a mineral. This one here is the smell of rotten eggs is diagnostic, meaning that geologists will know that yellow mineral smells like rotten eggs. Whoop, we got sulfur. Now we would continue these next 6 tests, which we will describe in upcoming videos on how to do each one of these. And then we look at it as a huge package here and say, okay, it feels, we look at our notes and say, we think it's sulfur because, hey, it's rough, it's yellow, smells like rotten eggs. Okay. Then if we do these two and we look and say, okay, yep, 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 and it fits all those different characteristics of sulfur, we're going to call it sulfur. Again, some of these will trick you. So just color alone does not, there's a lot of yellow ones out there. So we'll be doing all these tests to see what it is. So that is a little bit of an intro to mineralogy. Mineralogy is cool. Everybody has a different view on that. Some people like rocks, some people like dinosaurs, some people like minerals, some people like gems, some people look at groundwater, like hydrogeology. There's all different types of geologists out there who study the earth. One person can't do everything, so you will focus on one of those and become an expert on it. Okay, I hope that this helps.